Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Mari, also known as the Magical Mom. And today we're going to be talking about character dining experiences at Disneyland. So come join me. First things first, don't pay attention to the magna tiles in the background. It is one of those days I was like, should I clean it up? No, because they're going to get them right back out. First, the most important part of my day. Coffee. I love a good coffee. Am I a coffee snob? Maybe. Definitely not as bad as some, but I have my standards. I am not able to drink any type of coffee, which is interesting at Disneyland Park, but we'll save that for another video. So, today we're going to be talking about character dining at Disneyland. We went to the Storytellers Cafe for our first time, and that's the one we ended up choosing of the experiences. We've been to Disneyland many times. It's our family's most favorite place in the whole world. We are so obsessed, honestly. The reason why we never had done a character dining experience before this was because we were on a budget. Like, I figured out how to go to Disneyland on super tight budget because we didn't have a lot when we first started. And honestly, we still don't. Disneyland's just expensive, no matter how you slice it. And so we obviously are a family with young kids. And so we were kind of debating, do we do character dining experiences? Honestly, a lot of the Disneyland footage I would watch to learn more about Disney, none of them talked a ton about character dining experiences. So I didn't even really know what my options were for a long time. I didn't even think about even putting that into my trip initially. Because the kind of family that we are when we go to Disneyland, we are like rope drop to close is what we do. Maybe not close, because obviously we have young kids. But like, we're going to stay, if there's fireworks, we're going to stay at least till the fireworks, And so we are definitely one of those families, like, how much can we get done at the park in a day? So we just like to maximize our time in the park. My kids love rides, all the shows, all the characters. And so I know a character dining experience can take at least an hour and a half, maybe two. And so I was like, do we really want to use our time that we could be in the park at a restaurant with some characters? And obviously I had never experienced it, so I had no grid for what I was getting into. But I definitely was skeptical of the whole thing. So I'm like, is this really worth it? Do you know how much I can do in a park in 2 hours versus a restaurant? And so I had my suspicions if this was actually worth it. So let's dive in a bit. So let me tell you about the 4 character dining experiences that are at Disneyland. Yes, there are 4. They all have their own benefits and own cons. So you kind of have to just know what's right for your family. Now, let's break down the cost, okay? So your first one is Goofy's Kitchen. That is, you can do breakfast, lunch, and dinner, which is really beneficial because some only do breakfast. I know a family that I helped plan their trip. They went to Disneyland just for one day, but they got to Anaheim the first day before their actual park day, and they chose to do dinner at Goofy's Kitchen. And that way they started their trip the night before, and they didn't take up any of their park day, which I thought was really smart. And they used like the night they wouldn't have had anything to do anyway at Goofy's Kitchen, which is amazing. For example, if you are going for the first time, this is a really great way to start your trip. First off, Goofy's Kitchen, for your average breakfast, is going to be $59 for the adults and $36 for kids. Now, this includes usually like a buffet style food, and your kids can eat as much as they want. They usually have some great options. Now, there are seasonal things, so be aware if you're going at like Halloween time, like Goofy's Kitchen is set up for their Halloween seasonal breakfast. And so that usually increases the cost, and a seasonal breakfast is going to be $69 for an adult and $39 for a kid. Their brunch, $74 and $39 for a kid. Dinner is $69 for adults and $39 for kids. So whatever type or whatever time of the day you're going, it does depend on the price, which makes sense. Dinner is going to be a little more expensive than breakfast is, but there's also those seasonal factors you want to be aware of. And I'm going to show you on here of how you can find all this information for yourself through either the Disneyland app or their actual web address, because I feel like the Disneyland website gives you way more details than the app does. So here on the website, you can click that top left corner with the 3 lines, and you'll go to the Things to Do tab, and then Character Dining will pop up. And here you can see like mini
and friends, and that's going to be at the Plaza Inn. And it tells you each one, who you get to meet, how much do things cost, plus something that needs to be considered is you have to have a reservation to have any character dining experience. And sometimes they do sell out fairly quickly. And so reservations for each experience opens 60 days before your trip. And so depending on what day you're wanting to do it, you'll have to wait 60 days before that. Reservations will open for that day, and then you can schedule whichever one you want. I'm sure some sell out sooner. Like I could see the Plaza running out of times more than maybe Goofy's Kitchen, because Goofy's Kitchen has breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Well, the Plaza only has breakfast. So if you go back to that main page, then you can see Storytellers, The Princess, and Goofy's Kitchen, and you can click on anyone to find out your own information as well. And this, you can also book your reservation for your future stay. Okay, now back to finishing up about Goofy's Kitchen and the rest of the dining experiences.
Usually in this character experience, you're seeing like Goofy, Pluto, Donald, and Daisy. Usually Mickey and Minnie, I don't think, appear at Goofy's Kitchen unless there's like a seasonal thing. Also at Goofy's Kitchen, it's found in the Disneyland Hotel. So if you're actually going to be staying there, really great option for you to look into because it's at your hotel. Makes it super convenient that you could just go to dinner maybe the night before your park day and enjoy Goofy's Kitchen and get to meet a bunch of characters. The one we went to is called Storytellers. This is found at the Grand Californian. We were able to stay there for this one trip with my whole family. We went with my parents, my sister's family, and my family. And it was actually my parents took all of us and paid for us, which was such a dream. So this was in our hotel. We actually were able to go for a 5-day trip, and we did 3 days in the park. So we did on our 3rd day of the park. So we were like, yeah, let's do breakfast. We're all going to be tired. Let's do a little bit of later breakfast and just enjoy a slower morning before park again. And so the breakfast this is like what they have right now is they're seasonal. There's like a Halloween one, and then there's like a Christmas one. And so you have to be aware of what time you're looking and depending on how much it's going to cost. So like the seasonal one going on right now is more expensive. It's $64 for the adult and $36 for the kid. But a normal breakfast at the Storytellers is $59 for adults and $36 for the kids. And then the dinner is $79 for adults and $42 for kids. So is this worth it? The food that we got to experience here was so delicious. Probably one of the better breakfast buffet brunches I've ever personally had. But for that price, it better be, if I'm paying that much money, this buffet better be awesome. And it honestly really was. The other one they have is actually found in the park, and it's called the Plaza. And it's right at the end of Main Street, kind of catty corner from the castle. And so you do need your park reservation to get into this dining experience. So you couldn't do this like on a non-park day. This has to be a part of your park day. You have to have a ticket to the park and a reservation for the day of your reservation. And so something to be aware of. And they only do breakfast at Plaza. And this character dining experience, you're going to see like Minnie and Daisy. And this one has like more of the unique characters. It's got like Piglet and Eeyore and Pooh. And this one has a lot of rotating characters. Like some of the mice from Disney or from Cinderella are there. And I think Captain Hook sometimes shows up. So it sounds like this one is more of a revolving character lineup. And so you don't actually know who you're going to get, but it's kind of fun and it's more unique. I would love to do this experience one day. You can't wait in line always to meet the fairy godmother, and you can't wait in line to meet Captain Hook and all these different characters that aren't as commonly found around the park. Super cool way to meet them. But this one is for $55 for adults and $33 for kids. And that's probably the cheapest one you're going to find. So if you're more on a budget and you really want to do this, that's the cheapest of all the options. The fourth and final option is the Princess Dining Experience at the Grand Californian. Now, I have 3 daughters. This would be a dream. Oh my goodness. It's found at the restaurant called Napa Rose. But unfortunately, it is $149 per person. From what I've seen about it, it's more of like a set menu and it has more elevated food. And love that. But my kids, I just don't know if they would eat that kind of food right now. Now, I did read that you can just like request like Mickey waffles and things like that. But then I'm like, I'm paying $149 for my kids to eat a waffle. I just can't do it, guys. So would my kids love this? Oh my God. They would lose. I would lose my mind. We would have the best time because you get to meet princesses. Like even when we were at Storytellers Cafe, we watched the princesses walk by and we saw like Mulan and Merida and we saw Pocahontas and Ariel and Cinderella, like Tiana, like all your heavy hitter princess experience. Oh my goodness, this is it. Like your kids would have the best time if they love princesses, and mine would too. But it's actually not in our budget, and I don't think that's worth what my kids would get plus meeting the princesses, if that makes sense. Would I love to do it one day? Absolutely. I think my kids would need to be a little older before I'm going to spend that much on a meal that they may not eat. So it would be great for like maybe a little bit older girls, or I just don't know if my 4-year-old would be like, yeah, give me a set menu of really frou-frou dining is really what I would call it. And from what I've seen on videos and everything, could we wish we could have met them? Totally. But it just doesn't seem practical for our family in this season. Overall, is this worth it? Yes. We had the best time. My kids still talk about it, and yeah, I wish we could try all of these dining experiences one day, and maybe we will, and give a full review of all of them. However, Storytellers, fully worth it. We had the best time. The food was amazing. And so if you're interested and you're staying in the Grand, you don't even have to stay at the Grand. You can be staying off site. We usually stay off site, and you can go to the Grand and have this meal anyway. And it's so good. And the characters, you don't get that much time with each character in the park. The way they stop and engage, like here you can see Minnie recognizing all of the girls wore their Minnie Mouse outfits, and they all had a different color on. And she was like, "Oh my gosh!" And then they all twirled together. Like you don't always get that long of an experience at a park because there's a big line waiting, you know? And so this is a great, I would say 10 out of 10 recommend doing a character breakfast. Hopefully this makes you at least be open to the idea of a character experience at your next trip, because your kids would probably have a blast. Now I will say, if you're just trying to go to Disneyland on a budget, a character dining experience might not be the option for you, and maybe save it for when you have a little more wiggle room in your budget, because it is kind of a hefty price tag. And I have had amazing trips without it. If you have it in the budget, it does help you meet so many characters in one spot, but in a slower, more relaxing kind of way. Hope this helps you guys, and we'll see you next time.